Good morning and happy Saturday morning to everybody. You guys, there's a lot to cover, but make sure you go all the way to the end. I have some stuff for you at the end you're not going to want to miss, okay? Let's get there. Let's go. We're going to start off by going back to day one of the Kenya visit and notice the fact that Camilla is wearing a 30,000-pound diamond brooch. That was one of Queen Elizabeth's favorites. Now, of course, her dress was also gorgeous. It had some beautiful stitching detail on it. Now, that brooch is called the Diamond Oyster Brooch, and it is over 100 years old. It was made in 1919. Gorgeous piece of jewelry. I'm glad that, she got the chance to wear it. Moving on. Now, Queen Camilla, while Charles was doing his thing, she was given a tour of something called the Tree of Hope, which is located at the State House. It's supposed to be, and I'm quoting here, a testament to collective aspirations for environmental conservation and nurturing learners to become environmentally conscious citizens. Very nice. Now, the Queen also had a meeting where she was taken through organization. One of them is Mama Doing Good, and it helps implement the Queen's programs, including Joyful Women, Table Banking, Financial Inclusion Model that helps women save money. And also Karagana, which is a group that enables vulnerable women to earn an income through cross-stitching, and the president's wife made her a pillow. How wonderful is that? Moving on. Again, these may not be in correct order, but I'm trying. So next up, the president and his wife went with Charles and Camilla to visit the Uhuru Gardens. Now, I'm not sure why GB News, of all people, puts this kind of stuff out. Guests run for cover. They duck and run for cover. The photo ops were almost ruined by the rain. Really? Like, seriously, that's the best you got? I mean, how about the fact that they just switch things around? Moving on. That night, there was a state dinner. They rolled out the red carpet. These people on either side were dancing. The music was amazing. I don't want to get a copyright strike, so unfortunately, I can't play it for you. But anyway, loved Camilla's outfit. She was wearing this blue, frock, whatever you'd want to call it. Anyway, Charles and Camilla walked up. They were greeted by, the president and his wife. I love their outfits. They had some sort of a meeting here before they actually went into dinner. Now, when Charles gave his speech, he stopped short of apologizing, but he did acknowledge the rotten treatment that some of the people there had gotten by the British government, which I think is, hey, but I love it. I loved his speech. I thought he did well. Everybody there was very happy with the speech. If they're happy with it, I'm happy with it. The thing that really got everybody is when Charles gave his speech and he stated, and I quote, "It was here in the sight of Mount Kenya that my son, the Prince of Wales, proposed to his wife, now my beloved daughter-in-law." That's making a statement, people. Anyway, it looks like a good time was had by all. Lots of food, lots of toasts, lots of drinks. You need that kind of stuff when you're having these kinds of diplomatic meetings. I think alcohol makes everything just a little bit better. Anyway, you couldn't help but notice the look on Charles's face as he's looking at his wife. He very obviously was enjoying the evening. And so far, this trip has been a huge, huge success. It just looks like everybody's enjoying themselves. Generally, I think the evening went well, and it was a good end to the first day. Again, I'm going to say something about what Camilla's wearing. First of all, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for this information. But this dress that she was wearing, this blue tunic and trouser combo, it wasn't a dress. It was like a pantsuit, which I think is really, I didn't notice that. But yes, I think she looks lovely. I think she dressed beautifully. Love the jewelry. She obviously has a good stylist. Moving on. Now, the next thing that happened was the King and Queen arrived at the Commonwealth War Graves Commission Cemetery in Nairobi. And of course, you'll notice that both she and Charles are already wearing their red poppies. So the two of them joined British and Kenyan military personnel. They did a little act of remembrance, and then they went down a receiving line, and then they got to hear about the commission's work in making sure that everybody who supported Britons in both world wars is never forgotten, which I think is very nice. Now, here comes one of the stories that just about made me cry. The king then presented the world's oldest man. His name is Samuel Maburia, I believe. He is 117. So the king presented this gentleman and other Kenyan World War II veterans that were there with replacement medals, and to thank him and the other people for their service. I just think that's lovely. Now, while they were at the Kariokor, I hope I'm saying that correctly, cemetery in Nairobi, the Queen met some Kenyan ladies during an engagement she was having. I love the outfits, I love the jewelry, but I really love the detailing on the bottom of Camilla's dress. Giraffes. And once again, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us everything she was wearing at this event. Now, Camilla was at the Kenya Society for the Protection and Care of Animals, the KSPCA in Nairobi, when she was presented with a shuka, I believe is how you say it. A very symbolic thing to do. Love the color on her, by the way. Notice how well it looks with her. And I just love the fact that the tour is going so well for her. All right. And just like clockwork, sugar number one, Jack Royston put out an article saying that Queen looked uncomfortable around black people. No, she's uncomfortable with the limelight, and you're a jerk. Moving on. Now, while she was there at the KFPCA, she went and visited donkeys that had been rescued from misuse, and they were at the animal, I guess you'd call it an animal safe house. The group is called The Brook, and she is a long-term patron of it. So she went around, she got to feed, pet the animals, and it's so adorable. I mean, we know her love of animals, it's legendary, but I just love this. Now, while she was there petting these that's a beautiful horse, there were school children there, of course, who did a little thing for her. At one point, they danced, which I thought was really cute. They did this choreographed, thing. Very, very, very cute. At some point, again, I'm not sure what order all of this occurred in, Charles went to the UN offices in Nairobi, and he gave a speech talking about, again, climate, to the UN staff. And of course, he met the CEO, the African CEO of the UN. And when he stepped outside, there were tons of well-wishers, as usual. Now, at some point, King Charles also went on a 700-meter forest walk that led to a tree planting site. And while he was there, he met with a marathon runner. Guys, I can't even... If I try to say it phonetically, you guys will just get upset. So we're going to skip that. So while Charles was there, he did the Ready, Set, Go, and he started a children's race that was taking place on that day. Again, I think this part of the trip was a success. Now again, maybe not in order, but Charles and Camilla went to the Nairobi National Park, and they were given a drive through the facility that's located in the capital city. The idea was to see the wildlife and the conservation efforts. Now, another person put up on Twitter that their visit brought invaluable attention to the conservation and tourism endeavors because it emphasizes the international recognition of Kenya's biodiversity and their efforts to protect it. Love it. Again, another win. Now, while they were back in the forest, King Charles planted a tree in celebration of I believe it's the president's wife's mother. Very nice. Now again, at some point during the day, Queen Camilla visited the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust in Nairobi. This group had over 120 baby elephants with no mother, and so they have to be fed by a bottle. This is what happens when you poach for ivory. I mean, I don't understand why people still do that. Most of that stuff can be made synthetically at this point. And as usual, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for all of the stuff that the Queen was wearing. All right, moving on. Now, one final thing. The king went to a Nairobi street kitchen and ordered a Sang Paneer Kathi roll with butter chicken samosa from an Indian food truck. And he told people, be careful, this stuff will blow your head off. That's not where I would think it would blow, but okay. All right, moving on now. Next up, we have Catherine, the Princess of Wales. You know, her kids were on school break, so now that school break's over, she's popped back up, and she went to a group called Dadvengers. And this is supposed to highlight the importance of fathers in their children's lives, which I think is pretty cool. This happened Wednesday. So it's a community for fathers and their children in a group in an area called Arnos Grove, London. It's usually, according to the article, an online community that supports fathers in parenthood with a focus on mental well-being and training programs. So again, it was an online group, but then they started meeting and going for what they call quote unquote dad walks so that men could meet other fathers in the community informally. So Catherine went and joined the fathers in the local park. She walked with them. She heard about all the support they give each other. She stopped and took pictures with the parents and the kids and the group photos, and she was, she was all over the kids. What else? So I see where this falls right in with her Shaping Up initiative, because, this is a way for the men to support each other, you know what I'm saying, and in an informal setting. Now, they did talk about how the men and women should have the exact same responsibilities. She absolutely agreed. Hell, I agree. As a matter of fact, while I'm taping this, I'm doing this, and my husband is out doing the grocery shopping and replenishing our refrigerator while we've been out of the country, and of course picking up Finn, and he started the laundry before he left. Yeah, men and women should share the responsibilities of everything around the house and with the kids. I completely agree. And as usual, say it with me, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for all the information on what she was wearing. Moving on. All right, here we go with Prince William. I love this story. This woman that you see, or that you're about to see, her name is Ayette. And there was another woman named Zara Radcliffe, and she attacked an elderly man with a knife at a co-op store. And so this woman, Ayette, attempted to drag the man to safety while using a shopping basket to try to disarm Miss Radcliffe, who, by the way, has mental health issues. The 88-year-old grandfather, unfortunately, was killed in the incident, Mr. Rees. That woman deserves that medal and more. Moving on. All right, now this is interesting. Princess Catherine's uncle, this would be Carol Middleton's younger brother, has decided he's going to release a tell-all memoir. His name is Gary Goldsmith. Well, hell, if Harry and Meghan can use Omid Scobie, do I think that Catherine is participating? No, that's not the kind of person she is. But what the uncle is saying is that he wants to give the Middleton family a chance to, quote, have a voice amid the ongoing accusations and feud leveled that's, going on with Harry and Meghan. So they said when Prince Harry was compiling his book, his publisher was confident that William wouldn't comment because the future king can't comment. But he and Meghan won't like it one bit because, the rest of the family can comment. This is not the first time this guy has spoken out, by the way. He is a multi-million pound fortune. He has his own IT recruitment company. He first talked about penning a memoir in 2013. But he said, I would never embarrass Catherine or William, by putting stuff in there. But he says, I've changed my mind because did plan to focus the book on himself and his journey to become a multimillionaire, but now he's going to add some private family details. So, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Go for it, dude. Moving on. Now, remember, Meghan swore in court documents and Omid Scobie swore in court documents that Harry and Meghan had nothing to do with the Book of Finding Freedom, only to find out that they did. She went, oops, I'm sorry, Judge. I forgot that I wrote a 3-page manifesto to be given by Jason Knopf to Omid Scobie. My point is, Catherine's family doesn't operate that way. They're not that kind, they're all very wealthy, good, honorable people. All right, moving on. All right, moving on to this next story. It's saying that Harry is really lonely. He's lost his circle of friends. It's getting smaller and smaller, and he's more and more dependent on Meghan for a social life. I absolutely believe that. He can only hang out with people that Meghan approves of, like Nacho. Everybody else has been tossed to the side. He's not allowed to talk to his family. He's lost his family. He's lost his royal status. He's lost all of his military connections. He's lost his friends. He doesn't have anybody in Montecito. And so he's totally dependent on Meghan and her mother. Yep. Moving on. Here we go. Oh, Harry and Meghan took their kids trick-or-treating in Montecito. Or did they? Very interesting. Just at the same time that this happened, a blind item came out. Now you can freeze the screen to read the blind item, but basically what it says is that the picture that was put out was a setup. It's a blurry from the back picture. You can't really tell if it's them. Maybe it's them. Here's what I think. Or it could be people dressed up as them. Here's what I think. I think it is Harry. I don't think that's Meghan. I think that's Doria. I got to be honest. I think what's going on is they're separated and Harry is allowed to spend time with the kids as long as Doria's around. That's what I think is going on. I completely agree with Avid Gardner. Their behavior is so predictable. We were all like, they're going to put out a picture. Just watch. It'll be a behind, from behind, blah, blah, blah. And poof, there it was. All right, we've seen this, but I'm just pointing it out, that David Beckham's Netflix docuseries has blown Harry and Meghan's out of the water. It is like the top watched since it was released in October. It has absolutely shown that David and Victoria have the class and the goods above a D-list cable actress who accused Victoria of leaking information about where the woman gets her hair done when Victoria is the one who even told her where she should go. So now it looks like David's up for knighthood, and I just love that. What did I tell you guys about karma? It's a thing. Moving on. This one I just had to bring up because, my goodness, she went from being a royal duchess to trying to make money by selling posts on Instagram. The problem is she has the reverse Midas touch, and anything she touches implodes. And as soon as Spotify got rid of her, their stocks went up. So no, I don't think she's going to be doing well making money on Instagram because I don't think anybody's going to want her touting their products. Moving on. Okay, All right, we know that Harry mentioned Chandler from Matthew Perry's character in Friends in his book, The Spare. And I know that they try to put Harry's name and Meghan's name with A-listers, but this is just sick. The man has died, and supposedly it's being reported that Meghan wants to go to his funeral. I mean, I love what Meghan Mole said, using other people's pain and tragedy to gain some limelight. What does that sound like to you guys? Does it remind you of Uvalde? You guys remember when that horrible thing happened in Uvalde and all the A-listers and the really big people stayed away because they didn't want to draw attention. The only person who went was Matthew McConaughey, I believe it was, because he's from there. But no, Meghan got on a private jet, flew 6 hours to get there with her own camera crew, walked back and forth in front of the crosses, pausing, making sure they got just the right shot, because after all, she had to insert herself into this national tragedy. So why not try to grab some free PR off the death of, Matthew Perry? But I agree with Kinsey Schofield, except Chandler had a job. Moving on. And finally, one quick comment about Omid Scobie's new book. Very interesting. It's already being marked down. They're doing what I call a Harry. They're marking it down. You can get it for free, blah, 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 to try to boost the numbers so it can be said to be a #1 seller. Same exact ploy that they did with Harry. All right, so little housekeeping item. First of all, this is what my Rumble account looks like, and that's my name on Rumble. Just in case, make an account. You don't have to follow anybody else. You don't have to do anything else, just in case. Also, I have turned off the thanks button on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to donate anything to my coffee fund, do it that way, no longer through the thanks button. Also, I've noticed that several people have gone and joined my Patreon. I haven't done my Patreon since April, you guys. So if you're just wanting to join because you want to donate money to me, that's great. But I'm not doing actively Patreon right now because I stopped in April when we moved, because between the 6 videos a week that I do for, the channel, it just became too much, okay? All right, you guys. So FYI, YouTube has reached out. We're actually going to have a meeting. That's a shocker, but I'll keep everybody up to date. So in the meantime, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to leave those comments. I'm reading them. And if you've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, have a great day.